And this is where I believe packaging salespeople are missing out and have a huge opportunity for two reasons. Just like you described, the customer does not have time like in the old days.
My firm offers stuff that other packaging firms don't offer.
Packaging sales reps say, don't think like you do. Hello, everyone. I'm David Marinac, your host of the Repackaging Revolution. I'm very fortunate to be joined by a friend of mine, Eric Dmitrenko with American Made Marketing. Now, there's a lot more to this than just introducing Eric. We've kind of become, well, we become dear friends in this whole process, but I really wanted to look at the episode with Eric as kind of a case study because he really, if there's anybody that understands what it is that I'm trying to do in creating a community, reaching out to other packaging resellers, getting in front of decision makers at bigger firms to explain what it is that we can do, it's been Eric. No one else has enjoyed the Kool-Aid more, as we say. And Eric D has actually just been so instrumental in working with me, working with our team to help us get to and continue to grow and get to the next level. Specialized packaging is very unique, and it's not something that's an off-the-shelf kind of application. And Eric understood this from the very beginning, and the ability to kind of help make introductions, not to your typical clerk or Betty the buyer clerk. Eric has been able to kind of penetrate his accounts and his contacts at a much higher level and explain our secret sauce that we really do a hands-on approach. There is a process, proven process for quality, all the lead times and shipping, all these things that the bigger companies with specialized packaging are very nervous to get involved in. So instead of making changes or doing anything, they tend to just sort of accept mediocrity. And that's what Eric and I are trying to change, because specialized packaging, there's a premium when it comes to profit margin. There is actually a real partnership that's formed with the customers when we're able to help them. And so that's more than I really wanted to kind of say at the introduction. So without further ado, Eric Dmitrenko, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, David, for having me. I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to explaining even further what you just talked about, because it's important.
Well, first things first, let's learn about American Made Marketing. Let's learn a little bit, as much as you want to share how you got into starting your own company, what you guys do, because ultimately I want this to also be a commercial for you, if you will, to be able to share with your potential clients and existing clients what it is that you guys do. Can you tell us?
Yes, appreciate that. Yeah, I got into, I would call flexible packaging in 1999. I worked for couple of big firms, Crown Packaging, Delta Packaging, American Paper Goods.
Wow.
So I started off kind of as a salesman on the street, cold calling, trying to get in front of
Knocking on doors. Oh yeah.
knocking on doors, all the way from the warehouse guy to the plant manager to, engineers to purchasing agents. Was successful at it. But something over the years told me that I felt there was almost a better approach and a better way to go to market than, the current structure, which is there. And that's fine, that structure. So I started my own firm in 2016.
Mm.
And my approach to the business world was quite simple. If you bought enough from me, it paid to work with me because I directly sent it from manufacturers in. Most traditional industrial packaging firms, and there's a need for them.
Sure.
As far as warehouses and people and staff and, nationwide coverage. But I started approaching medium and larger companies and went to them and said, if you buy enough, I can send it directly to you from the manufacturer, and my pricing was just better. When
Right.
I was with the other distribution people, what I also learned was to place an enormous value on my manufacturers just as much as the customers. A lot of them
Good
miss that
point.
boat. They want the cheapest price, they pound them, they want, baseball tickets or football ticket, and all
Right.
that, which is fine.
Right.
But I started taking my manufacturers out to lunch. I started, taking them to play golf or go fishing, just because I wanted to form a little bit more of a personal relationship with them. That has bode very well for me when I went
Sure.
into my own business. But basically, I have a woman-owned corporation. I can work nationwide. I can deliver my products completely nationwide, and basically going after um, a better brand of customer rather than the people that needed it two of this, three of this, three times a week.
Right.
And it's easier to manage inventory. But that's the customers that I went after, and it's been very successful for me because I get to decision makers that need not only quality but need the best price, because of all the lean and Six Sigma and all that that's out there.
So, Eric, tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do. I mean, meaning the products that you really focus on. What are those core things that you use when you do approach these bigger companies?
Very good question. I sell basically what I would call industrial packaging. It's flexible mainly, but once a product is made until it goes out the door, if they buy boxes, I sell boxes. If they tape them shut, I tape them shut. I'm a labels and ribbons person. I'm a films person, from stretch film to, you know, LLDPE,
Right.
HDPE, strapping, angle board. And I do some automation as well when they need to expand the line, whether it be, shrink films or, stretch bundling, shrink bundling. I work with some people that, can put in fully automated lines and move forward.
Well, let me jump in because I think you're doing yourself, forgive me because you're my friend, but you're doing yourself a disservice. But when you do the larger volume of these things, like you're talking about automation or shrink film, correct me if I'm wrong, but this isn't like, there are differences between different types of film, different types of stretch, different types of elasticity, different types of material output or run on equipment. I mean, you do a deeper dive than just sort of, willy-nilly. There's a science to this, correct? Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
There is. What I find in even the larger manufacturers, they're almost the easier ones to work with because they've been doing it only, by ordering, a stretch film, and bringing that in, and they've been using it for 20 years sometimes.
Right.
What I do when I get in front of a customer and get the opportunity, I absolutely do a full packaging audit for them right out of the get-go. I want
Perfect.
to know, what they're doing, how they're doing
Right.
it. I want to see their equipment. I want to visit their facilities. And some of them are here, some of them are in Seattle, Washington. They have
Right.
sister plants. I'm based in the Atlanta area, but my customers range nationwide. And what happens is they get very complacent. They seem to focus their time and attention on output, throughput,
Putting out
numbers.
fires.
Right. And they do put out fires. When I can get an opportunity to be in front of them with, what, say 25 years experience and give them an
Sure.
audited report, I can break down what they're doing. Or sometimes offer them a better product lines, even switching gears. I have a customer right now. One of them is a large carpet manufacturer. I live in Georgia, and Dalton's a carpet capital of the world, big
Oh yeah.
textile. And they
Yeah.
stretch film it, and they're putting 24 wraps on it with a really expensive film that I provide. And they needed to up their game and have more output. They put out about, I believe it's about $20 million worth of product a week.
Jeez.
They're a giant.
Right.
And so what I brought them was, like a project that we worked on, and I worked with their engineers all the way up to, their almost their president
Mm.
was, to get faster, almost that faster, stronger, output. And we're taking them from, 6 employees basically down to 1 with the fully automated equipment, and it's backbreaking work. Like, they are very happy. They will not fire these people. They're gonna
Right.
move them to other
Right.
jobs without
Right.
killing them and so forth, with full automation, and stretch hooding that will wrap large, what would be LVT, like 70-pound, you know, plank flooring packages, um,
Yeah.
line them
Which
up,
is
put them
dead
in through.
weight, by the way.
It's extremely heavy, backbreaking
Yep.
work,
Yep.
but that's, where somebody like me can come in as a resource. A lot of them don't have time to do their own homework, and
Right.
so where I go after them, not just from once it's done till it goes out the door, and that's mainly where I'll break in, but I like to see the manufacturing process. And with that said, this group's gonna spend 1.2 million and their ROI is less than 6 months.
Wow.
And they will increase their output 13%. I mean, that is
Well,
enormous,
let me kind of, I want to capture that because I think because you're again, I think it's a really good case study in what it is that you do. So take us back to that. You knew of this company. You don't have to name names. That's not the point. You knew of this company. Did they approach you and say, "Look, we need a better mousetrap, so to speak. We need better output. We need to protect the backs of our employees. It's an ergonomics issue or whatever." How did that whole project start? Because what you did is really the case study and really who you are. Because it's not you didn't just willy-nilly, you literally had to design something. If their ROI is 6 months, which is incredible, your ability to kind of put that together. Tell us how that project started in the first place.
Okay, yeah, so I earned my way in the door with a better stretch film, better pricing, more footage per roll, so it met all the criteria for them to switch to me, and that was done, with my stretch film manufacturer, and it's a scientific report as well. We go in,
Yeah.
we weigh the film, we measure the film, we see how many wraps they put on, and the strength test at the top, middle, and bottom. And so handing them a scientific report. And don't get me wrong, I value myself as I think as a nice person, a fair person, whatever. But science and information does not lie. So whether
Right.
you know me, like me, don't like me, I'm their friend. The evidence was right there. So I earned my way
Right.
in the door. They were stretch filming it, they were putting angle board on it, they were strapping it down, they were using, probably somewhere in the neighborhoods of about $6 a pallet worth of material,
Wow.
to do this. Um, Very slow because, they're, bringing it to the table with a fork truck. They were
Right.
taking it off by hand. Like, if they have
Right.
a full pallet, like, of 80 cartons of, let's say, this LVT, the luxury vinyl tile,
Right.
they need 12 here, another flavor, 20 there. So they were mixing and matching all their pallets. By the time it was over, I noticed that there was 6 people involved, and the process was very slow. They were putting out close to maybe 20 pallets if they were flying, an
Mm.
hour, and that's really moving.
Yeah.
And so they were talking about, technology and, what we've talked about, sustainability, what's better for the environment and, which is what you and I also are
Oh,
very
yeah.
big advocates of. And I told them that I believed there was a better system out there if they looked at it. And so that started with the plant manager. Plant manager
Mm.
went to their, head engineer. The engineer went to this gentleman's right hand man who owns the company. They're about a $4 billion a year company, in sales. And they said that they would be interested. So what's that next step? Well, the next
Right.
step is me bringing in with when I say this, I have a very deep Rolodex after 25 years of doing what I do. And I brought in what I believe would be the best way to move this to another level.
Right.
Brought in a group that does full automation, full computer, automatic label application. And then in the end, what they specialize in is stretch hooding or shrink hooding.
Yeah.
And we came in, saw their layout, designed a program for them, and presented it to them. We took some of their product down to the showroom, this manufacturer, videoed, just regular, just film, put it
Sure.
on there, gave it the big shake test and everything, and it turns out very well. That it was a very almost a safer way to move this product because it's heavy, because they stack it. Even internally, when they stack it six
Sure.
levels high. So now
Right.
you have, a 2,000, 3,000 pound pallet that's in their warehouse that's way more secure than just stretch film.
How
So
long did this whole when you brought in your manufacturer, you did this was how long of a start to finish once you got the opportunity? How long does that normally well, in this case, how long did it take? And then how long does it normally take?
they gave us a purchase order in less than 90 days. It took
Wow,
about 2 months. So
good for
now to
you.
build the machine and bring it in is
Right.
is like a year.
Right.
To get it because it's built in Germany. They run it there, then they disassemble it, put it on a boat, bring it here. Then they set it up
Right.
all the way. But from start to finish, what I brought them was complete under one roof. So software,
Yeah.
the automatic racking of the system. Once it gets there, I have an automatic 4 different pallets that they put on this product on. So they drop the product down. There'll be a robotic arm. If they need 20 of these off of a 60 pallet, they'll put 20 on,
Sure.
rack 40,
Sure.
run that through the shrink hooder, stretch hooder, whatever that boils down to. Now we're testing films. What is the best?
Right.
And then it comes out the door and it just spits it out on the other side. So literally all that's being done is the product's being brought there by a fork truck driver. It's dropped and it automatically loads the pallet, unloads the other pallet, stretch hoods them both. And one goes right back on the rack. The other one goes right out the door with a full label and everything in there. It's like I said, that now they can output 40 units an hour. And it's not like they double their, the capacity. They're not up to that speed yet, but they literally will have the opportunity to go from 13% to about 25 to 30% more output and pay for that machine in 6 months.
Well, so and I got that piece, but boy, and this is where this is such an invaluable lesson for packaging resellers to get. Now, let me explain what it is that you did and are doing, and I certainly know you, and you can then take this approach to anybody else that's got an inefficient process, whether it's carpeting or vinyl or whatever. But back to the question that I or the point that I really wanted to emphasize was, and this is where I think a lot of specialized packaging or packaging people miss out on. They're in such a hurry to make a deal. They're in such a hurry to, sell something that they miss out on the real big picture, which is what you did. You did two things that I think I really want to emphasize. Number one is you penetrated that account to begin with, like you said, with the plant manager and kind of talked about bigger picture and and you obviously hit some hot buttons with them, Eric, because their light bulbs went off going like, well, I didn't know there was a better way, or we always did, but we were so busy. And suddenly you were able to kind of run with that and then take it further. But the other thing to me, and this is really and truly a game changer for a packaging reseller. So often these packaging resellers and packaging salespeople, I use that interchangeably, but packaging people tend to just look at their manufacturers as you work for me. and I'll tell you what I need, and you spit it back to me as soon as I need it. And that is such a antiquated, bass-ackwards way to do business. What I heard you say, and I know you're going to agree with me here, you actually spent more time getting to know the manufacturer. You spent more time getting to know what their capability was. You spent more time, like you said, taking them out to golf, having lunch with them. And I guarantee you, it's those kind of relationships that you were then able in your back pocket. You knew that information. So when you were with this company that had an issue, you knew where to call. Is that a fair statement? Because I mean, that's really where the intel and again, and rightfully so, you're not giving the stuff away. I guarantee you, this customer looks at you as a partner, not just a rep or not just some sales guy. So take us through that. What it was, and how did you learn to go after that manufacturer and build that relationships? Because that's just as important, if not more important, than even the customer. Take us through that, if you would.
And totally agree with you there. My approach that I always had, where I feel, and I'm not saying this where people fall short, I think the smartest ones go further. If you educate yourself and you can open up and become a long-term relationship partner
Right.
with that organization, and if you
Yeah.
knowing what you're looking for, and if you expand your mind to what is out there in technology and you form those relationships as I did. I value my manufacturers and my people as much as I do my customers. So you
Right.
earn your way in the door, and then you don't blow them up with the first email and tell them everything that you can do. Once you get a little bit of your foot in the door and you
Right.
can become comfortable with them, I expand upon them and let them know that, I'm not the guy just selling boxes and tape. I am a homework individual for you. Many
Yeah.
manufacturers, you hit it on the head. A lot of them don't have time. And
No.
they finish up on Friday at 5. They're not back
Yeah.
until, Monday at 9 or
Yeah.
whatever. And they are not the people that will go to trade shows and look for new technologies.
Right.
I'm the person that brings that to them. And once you can establish the fact that come to me for what you're looking for and I'll go find it, or let me help you with your let me just get a good like file or a profile on them and see their whole entire manufacturing facility from start to finish.
Right.
Then it's my job to educate them so that they can make an educated decision. And that wins out a lot because they don't have time to do the homework. And when I drop it in their lap, with an email or proposal or
Yeah. Yeah.
a presentation,
Yeah.
uh, what I do is I distance myself from the guy coming in there trying to beat me on price. All of a sudden, they don't care. They don't care what I'm charging them because they
Correct.
know that Eric cares about their business, and I'm
Correct.
saving them. When I get done with this, they will know that I'm saving them, you know, $100,000 a year and increasing their productivity. They do.
At
Let me say
least.
that they don't care what I'm charging. I'm very fair
Right.
about what I charge.
No, no, I get it.
Nobody
I
can,
get it.
yeah, nobody come in there and sweep my legs out from me after that
Right.
because now
Right.
I'm there. Not only am I their resource, I'm their relationship partner. I'm also, personally now vested to them and get to know them a little better. And I'm not, you don't try and buy them off. That, the
No.
golf and that's getting to know somebody outside the office. And with that, it's invaluable. I never lose I've not had any of my customers taken away from me because I'm doing my job. I stay
Yeah.
invisible. I
Yeah.
deliver everything on time. You be proactive. But when you're educated and you're part of that team, you're part of their team, they never get rid of you.
Well, there's two sides to this too, in a good way, and both of them you nailed. So from the customer side of things, and this is where I believe packaging salespeople are missing out and have a huge opportunity for two reasons. Just like you described, the customer does not have time like in the old days. And I know you and I have been around for a while. I remember walking into the Hoover Company or Moen Fawcett, and they would have 15, 20 different buyers, just buyers for all these different segments of paper and plastic and indirect and commodity, whatever. But now the last 20, 25 years, bigger companies in general have really just sort of dumped that to one or two people maybe. And so and they really the thought was 20 years ago, because I remember Invacare was a big wheelchair company up here, and they literally told me what they were doing. They said, "We're getting rid of our packaging engineers, we're getting rid of all of our buyers. We're gonna have one buyer, and we're gonna rely on you, packaging sales guy, to help us with our design, to help us with sourcing, to help us with this," which is a brilliant idea when you have plenty of salespeople out there and plenty of manufacturers. Now, on the flip side of this, manufacturers over the last 20, 25 years, in my opinion, I don't know about you, have also dropped off on their salespeople. They used to, we used to butt heads years and years ago with the film manufacturers or plastic manufacturers because everybody had their own 15 or 20 reps or whatever it is that cover the country. Now you may have one or two for a particular manufacturer. So back to my point, I think there's such a huge opportunity for packaging resellers to literally, like just like you described, you're marrying the customer with their pain point, with the manufacturer with their solution, and you're doing the work for them. Just like you said, you're the one that served it up to them on a silver platter, gave it to them, and I get they're not going anywhere, Eric. They're there for life because you are a partner for what they're doing. So again, I don't know whether I went off on that riff, but I think packaging people miss out on this because they're in such a hurry. They're trying to make a deal. But when you can match two together like this, I mean, that's where the margins are at. That's where the specialized packaging comes from. I don't know. Give me your take.
Yeah. And to the same point, I think that, let's say, larger industrial packaging firms, it's a numbers game. If you're just starting off, you're trying to, go into an industrial park, drop 20 business cards, trying to get, that part I get.
Yeah,
But when you
we've
come
been
from
there.
a standpoint, absolutely. But when you when you can be established, and you are established, and you're not desperate, and I guess that maybe, people can smell that on, people that come in.
Oh yeah,
But if you, again, it's the separation. I'm going after long-term relationship business. My firm offers um, stuff that other packaging firms don't offer. We offer
right.
long year term contracts with a rebate program. And I'll turn around and get it from, my manufacturers as well. If I'm giving it, I'll try and get it with them. If I can bring them and lock in 3 years worth of business.
Sure.
Most reps do not think like that. The only,
I'm
as far as they can go, is a stocking agreement program, and that product has to ship out in 60 days, and that can create problems. Where I go to is, forming that relationship
yeah,
with the customer to where
yeah,
I'm valued as much as I value them. And that's where
sure.
they, and when I say this, a lot of buyers, we're all hot dog vendors. It's a race to the bottom. Here it is. When I get the RFQ, I toss it right
Yeah,
in the garbage,
I know.
because I'm not interested in that. If
It's a
they
race
don't,
to the bottom.
and they obviously don't need my help. They're not looking to change what they're doing. Um, but the groups that I find, in the customers that I target, again, I don't go for the small guy they can even be big, but two
Yeah,
of
yeah,
this, three of that, 3 times a week, because they're running out, because they
right,
can't do their own inventory. They don't have
right.
good staffing. I go for the company that is is also a win-win for me. And that
Sure.
is, it's looking for someone like me to come in and not take them to the holy ground,
Yeah,
but
right. But still,
take them to a place where they are running very efficient, the
yeah,
best that they can, um, which can be changing their process, or changing the way they buy.
right,
Let's not buy 24 times a year. Let's get
right.
that down to 8. With better volume, you
Exactly.
get better pricing, right? It makes everybody that's less invoicing on the bean counters, the
Yep.
whole
Yep.
process.
Yep.
You can streamline them and
Yep.
make their life better, and then you remain invisible. That's where I've been very successful. But
Well, let me
that
let
yeah,
let
go
me
ahead.
yeah, let me jump in here because I want to speak to the packaging salespeople, the packaging reps that are out there. Because I mean, if there's anything that you and I both are are adamant about is helping the next generation coming up behind us. And packaging sales is not going away. I believe, and I know you do too, that there is I mean, if there's ever been a time post COVID in particular that this industry is ripe for, some new approach. Tell us, you had mentioned that and I don't want it to just come from me, but you would mention that something like, sales reps today, packaging sales reps, they don't think like you do. Can you comment on that? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think that's a key clue when we're trying to encourage people that status quo right now, dropping off 20 business cards in an industrial park, knocking on doors hoping to sell something, that's selling hot dogs. That's old way of doing things, like you said. But if you want to sell steak and lobster and get past, you got to do something new. Can you comment on that?
I hope you like this content. If you want more of it, I put together a specialized packaging alliance, a group of packaging professionals that are in different facets of this industry. We have webinars, we have meetings. The idea is to share information about this great industry of packaging, whether that be from the sales side of things to the marketing, even to the end users. My point with this is I'd love to have you join us, the Specialized Packaging Alliance. Check out the link below to learn more. Thanks.
Back in the day when that's the only really way we had to do it.
Me too.
Right.
100%.
And technology has taken us to where, now I can conduct my entire business over my phone. They don't know
Mhm.
if I'm in a trout stream or in a conference room. They just want their
Right.
answer. But where I think the reps I would say miss the boat is I think they're so excited, maybe once they get that opportunity and, they value the other guy's time is so rare that I don't think they're prepared when they go in and sit down and talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they get that they're on their 4th meeting, and they've
Yeah.
got a little bit of business there. I think what they're missing is, what and kinda how we've talked about it. When you get yourself established, then you have to and it's not driving the business or the customer, it's helping educate them to let them know that I'm a better resource than the other 4 guys that are knocking on here with price, price, price. And that's where you
No,
have go ahead.
you're exactly right. And I love this because so there's a couple of things and I know you can relate to this. So hypothetically, this is what you and I know we have seen over the last couple of years, even more. Like you described, the sales rep is hungry, desperate maybe, right? And they're in such a hurry. I've said that a million times, but there is this lack of control of the project. I'm not saying control of the sale. And I've seen you do this, and I mean this sincerely because this is where the rubber meets the road. For example, the traditional sales rep that's out there right now, the packaging salesperson is chasing that price, and they just want to give that person, give that company. They have an opportunity. They're going to give them a number. They're going to give them a delivered price. They're going to whatever it is that takes this to here, customer, here's your answer. What I saw you do in the past, and I mean this, and I think this is where specialized packaging, selling value add packaging, getting to know a customer isn't just spitting out a number. It's doing this back and forth. There's a dance that we call it. There is I understand, Mr. Customer, what you're looking to do. Got it. Let me go back now and start working on this. And oftentimes you can really tell, I know I'm segueing it here or I'm digressing, but you can often tell whether a buyer is really a buyer or just a clerk, because the buyer, true buyer, will understand this is not an off the shelf sort of solution, and you're not going to just sort of spit out a number. You're going to give them some information and say, yeah, I think I can do this, and here's some things, and let me get back to you. When's good, tomorrow, next week, whatever. But the traditional packaging reseller packaging person right now totally goes right to to Z. They go from A to Z, and they miss out on critical details of the order, lead time questions, questions about freight, questions about quality, questions about all that stuff. And that's where they lose. That everybody, it seems like there's this fast. But what I've seen you do is you take this sort of like, okay, I'll get back to you, whether that's Tuesday or next week, or whatever. It's not like 6 months from now, but that's, to me, correct me if I'm wrong and what your thoughts are, but that to me is the separation. That separates the men from the boys. Does that make sense?
Without question. When you have a customer and look, you get your foot in the door. Let's go
Yeah.
away from the guys that are, brand new,
Yeah.
greenhorns and so forth. Let's say that you've made it. You're 4 years in with the company you're in with. You're making enough
Yeah.
money, let's say that you're not sweating anymore.
Right.
Where the mistake is made is when you get that portfolio of business, then you've got to work that portfolio of business from within. You need to
Really.
look at every one of those customers and make sure you're not missing opportunities. And like you said, where it can lie. You and I are working on something right now with a large orange juice manufacturer, and I have been all the way from the buyer, who
Yeah. Yeah.
has nothing to do with, she just spits it out. She spits out
Yeah.
the orders. I told her we didn't know that part of the landscape
Yeah.
until we were knowing that. Then we get with Josh and Andrea. Now all of
Yeah.
a sudden,
Right.
we're working on a project that the buyer has no idea really what we're doing, which is fine
Right.
because we
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
Jeannie,
At this
we
point.
found Sean, people that understand what we're doing, the process that we're doing, how we're doing it. And that can take some time, as you and I are also finding out, but it's worth the investment to find those people.
100%.
Right. Our girl was like,
100%.
"Oh, sure, go ahead and do a trial," and all of a sudden we decided, let's just take a little bit of time, take the luncheon that I asked the right guys to, and all of a
Right.
sudden now we have an absolute process like you and I discussed. It's not Z, it's crawl, walk,
Yeah.
run, trial, small order and get it going. We don't want to send a truckload of stuff and have it come back.
We would have
We
been,
want to do it.
we would have never had a chance. She was
Never
in
had a
such a
chance.
hurry to check this off her list and give us a trial.
Amen.
You and I go to lunch with some other people and go, we're talking apples and oranges. There's no
Without
way
question.
that we could even, and by the way, us doing that would have been foolish on our end, because that would have ruined the opportunity, probably not only the opportunity for us, but you're doing existing business with them, and that would have put a black eye on you. And
Without question.
this is classic of how, the specialized packaging and the world that you and I are in and focusing on. If you could distill this down, that really is that case study and what goes wrong when salespeople don't control the process or don't have the courage. And I don't mean to go
That's it.
wax
That's
through
it.
it. It's courage when you can go, no, 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 Sally, I'm not taking the order. No, not yet, not yet. And I guarantee you that lady was like, what? What are you talking about? You're not, I'm giving you, no, no, we don't have all the details yet.
Right. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
okay.
She is. But again,
Yeah.
even somebody that has established business, when they get in that opportunity, even like I said, to learn that customer from within, you
Right.
have to do it in a manner that is, because all of a sudden that piece of business pops up and immediately they'll go to Z. Sure, I'll trial right away. What can I? No, you have
Right.
to take that step back. And
Right.
here it is. That's where they then value you, is because you're doing
You're
the
not just a
process
sales
of
guy.
due diligence, not only for
Yeah.
my company, but for their company, and we'll
Yeah.
get to the finish line.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't matter if it takes 6 months. You and I have been working on this for a solid 6 months,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we will probably go to a proper trial in another
Yeah.
month or so,
Yeah.
and doing it the right way. That's the problem is, even good reps can be can show desperation because they don't have that experience to slow down, to look at
You
it
got it.
properly.
You
So,
got it. You got it. And
and
boy, there's so many.
especially on specialized packaging, David,
Yeah.
like you and I are
Yeah.
talking here, this isn't what's your price on 20-inch 80 gauge stretch film? Well, hold on.
Right.
Let's call it what it is, and it's
Right.
load containment film.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
took that group that was using an 80 gauge, gave them a 63 gauge, which scientifically proved to be a stronger load from
Wow.
top, middle, and bottom,
Mm.
and they gained 1,500 feet, better pricing, so I saved them. And this was the group we're talking about,
Yeah.
almost $100,000, 85 to $100,000 on a commodity item like stretch film. They hadn't looked at it in 13 years. They hadn't seen a rep in 10 years. I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, how could nobody else penetrate and do that? Why wouldn't
Well,
some come in and take and do the job properly? So back to your
that
point. Go ahead.
yeah. Good. No, I was just going to say, because there's a nugget right there that I don't want to gloss over as well, because that's another thing that back to the reps, in my opinion, we talked about courage. We talked about the good old fashioned grit, meaning to find these opportunities. Nobody's going to hang a sign outside the door saying we're having problems with our manufacturing or material handling or our packaging, whatever. No one's going to do that. It's up to the job of the true packaging professional to be able to get in there and ask the right questions, dig for the right answers, wait and be patient. If you cannot get in the door to talk to a real person, a person that's going to give you the real truth, not some BS nonsense, like we were talking about with the buyer that just gave us, she had no clue what we were doing. That's a huge nugget because I think a lot of packaging resellers, like we said, they're in a hurry, they bypass a lot of stuff and they miss this. But the other thing I think is really critical too, and this is where it really kind of ties everything together when we're talking about specialized packaging. Because a lot of times people go, oh, specialized packaging, what's specialized packaging? Well, problem solving packaging, things that, whether it's film or pouches or material that runs on equipment. We've seen a ton of opportunities, Eric, just you and I, with companies that have been buying. So the case study in particular are the companies that, let's just say hypothetically, they bought a piece of equipment from a packaging company. And that sounds great initially because that packaging company promises they're going to provide you with the film and it's going to be at a great price and everything works perfectly on the machinery, whatever. 5, 6, 10 years down the road, a lot of these companies have literally been shackled to these manufacturers who have gone through private equity acquisition. They're no longer the same company. The people that did the deal 10 years ago are no longer there. And a lot of companies, big companies, yeah, you name it, from the Nestle's on down, they have a real need to be able to kind of talk with a packaging professional that is able to say, I have a process to be able to duplicate that item. And back to what you were saying before is the process isn't going to be tomorrow you're going to have a price. Process is, let's do a deep dive on what the material is. Let's talk about who else is involved in making this decision. Who else are you the only one that's involved with this decision, sir or Sally or whatever? Let's get people together because I want to know the critical issues that are happening. If we can get to that person, and you and I have a live project, I mean live project on this type of situation, all of a sudden they're like, we've been looking for 4 years. Where have you guys been? I didn't know this was possible. When can we send you samples? You mean to tell me you can make this to work on this equipment? Yes. Well, give us a quote. No, 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 we're not there yet. Let's work on getting some samples. Let's work on more information. And that, so together, that's controlling the sale, but it's also making sure that that customer understands we're in this for the long haul. It may take us 6 months to dial this in, but when we do, just think they've got, I don't know what she said, 25 different machines from this company. So that really is it in a nutshell from the specialized packaging standpoint, project wise, is the deep dive, obviously working with the manufacturers and getting to the right manufacturers, but doing test runs, doing trial orders, getting some samples, being there. That's the one thing you've taught me, is you spend a lot of time face to face, even in the virtual world, whether it's a Zoom or whatever it is, because you want them to know you. You want them to know that, hey, I'm your guy to call. You got a question, you got a problem, you got an issue, you got a concern, whether you're there in person or whether you're on a Zoom or a call, that puts them at ease to know there's a process here. And this isn't some fluky off the side of the road, just sort of like, willy-nilly. That's the thing that I believe is such an opportunity out here for this industry if we could find some and develop some real solid salespeople to do it. Love to hear your comments on that.
I that what you just said there is the absolute truth. I think that where everybody, and I don't want to say falling short, but taking the time to develop that customer, to work
Right.
from within, to figure out the landscape, to separate yourselves, from others that are out there. Once you can separate yourselves, that you have, you know, you got the quality, you got the price, you got everything there,
Yeah.
but asking the right questions, and then it's the other way. Instead of them driving you, you're driving them because they
Yeah.
don't have the time and the resources and that to do it. They're
Yeah.
tied, they're chained to their
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
and they do want something better. The one
Yeah.
thing I also like to go to in the end is when I start a project, my goal is, again, my job, do all the homework, educate them to make an educated decision.
Right.
But ultimately, in the end, I'm working on a project right now with a guy who's an IT guy, and they test him with their
Mhm.
labels, ribbons, and a few stretch film, a few things, fish out of water.
Yeah. Oh,
In
yeah.
the end, my job is to put a report to him, which I'm doing, and saying, with your plant alone, there's two other
Yeah.
plants, but your plant alone, here's like a 3-year proposal, um, quantity breakdowns, price breakdowns and everything else, put that onto him so he can do his math. And then
Yeah.
ultimately, when he went to his superiors and saved them money, I make him look like a hero.
Oh, you nailed it. I was just going to throw that in there
Yeah.
because that's
How
when
do you
it,
not,
yeah.
I want that guy to get the promotion because he worked with somebody who knew what they were doing, brought in the
Right.
right person, and literally lays it out at his feet so he can go to his superiors and say, this is what I've uncovered.
Right.
This is where we're at currently. This is the new proposal that I have. He did all the math, and they're not a huge user. It's a oil company, and they're
Hmm.
in Atlanta. They're like 98 years old, been
Wow.
buying from a group that they do not like. They're being
Hmm.
held hostage, just like you said.
Yeah.
Some of the companies we're up against right now, holding them hostage, lead times when COVID hit went to 8 months,
Yeah.
all the things that we can solve and problems that we can solve.
Yeah.
He went to them with that, and on labels and ribbons
Yeah.
and stretch
Yeah.
film, they'll save probably close to 10, 12, 14,000 a year. And if they all three of those combo and I can land it to one facility, I told him, I said, I'll give you delivered pricing. They have trucks, he tells me, that go from their Spartanburg, South Carolina
Yeah. So
facility
they can
to
get it on the
Atlanta
way
and to
back.
Orlando. They're there every week, running trucks in between each other. I can land that there. By the time the freight bill that I did a little math on, the freight bill, I'll save them 8,000 a year on top of product, about another 12. They're saving 20 G's on something that they were just paying and never even looked at.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I just happened to know him, because we'd worked together and he built my website. He's a nice kid, but he's
Wow.
an IT
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And so there again, my job is not just to educate them, but I want to make them look good to their
Yeah.
organization.
100%.
Fine. Then after that, if I'm doing a good job, you should reward me with a 3-year contract because it's
Yeah.
only going to give you 1% the first year, 2% the second, 3% the third. Why
Right.
wouldn't you want to say, I mean, if they're spending
100%.
100 grand, why wouldn't you want to throw another 3,000 in the ring?
Exactly. Correct.
So, and then that gets them the comfort that they know that
Yeah.
now they don't have to look at this program again. They're in good hands and they
Right.
don't
They
have
can
to
go
do this
back to
double.
putting out other fires.
And now that that's put to bed, like you
Yeah.
say, onto something else. But
Right.
so many companies, and the toughest thing, David's just getting them, just to get them now. People hide behind
Yeah.
their emails. They never return
Yeah.
anything thanks to COVID. And a
Right.
lot of them just don't want to do their job. That's the other part is there's frustration that you and I have, you know,
Oh,
encountered with the fact that, here it is
yeah.
on the one project we're looking at with that group, Miss
Yeah.
Kelly. Where are the samples and the numbers, that you said because we've done everything right and we can save them a fortune. She can make more money and she won't even send
Exactly.
samples because it's you can lead the horse to water sometimes, but you also can't. I would say that only 20% of the companies that I really find, have good people that want to make a
Yeah.
difference instead of
Yeah.
just making it to Friday so they can have a couple of Michelobes.
Well, and that in and of itself, before I wrap up, but I want to stay on that because you're so right with that. There's this disconnect. If we could talk to the sales managers or COOs or CEOs or owners of these packaging companies to just sort of, if they really knew, I believe, if they really knew their reps are selectively kind of like, well, this has potential, this doesn't have potential, this is too good to be true, and I'm gonna, without really and truly focusing on, getting that project to a point where it's a yay or a nay. Meaning, even if you get to the finish line, you and I have both learned a lot on projects that have gotten to the finish line and stalled or didn't come to fruition, but we use that knowledge for future orders or future projects. A lot of these people, general statement, I get it, but a lot of salespeople in the packaging space, are they lazy? Are they comfortable? I mean, in this day and age where, in cost, inflation and travel and you would think that they would be hungry for these higher margin, higher opportunities, keep the business longer, make 30, 40% profit margin versus 3%. And then we have been met, you and I have been met with more deer in the headlights look like, what? Huh? It's baffling to me. I don't know. I digress. But
And
what
and
thoughts?
it can no, it can be that, and I think it's in every I think within every organization, I believe that, if you have found 10% that were dedicated, hardworking
Yeah,
employees wherever they
yeah,
are, from
yeah.
accounting, all the that you're doing pretty well. I think there's just a lot of them that are very content. There's
And
X
that
and
tells me a lot about the companies too, Eric, where
does.
they're okay with having mediocrity. And again, that to me is, we're not naming names here, but the point is that some of these companies have got to understand and know that, well, we're seeing it. And this is where I forgot to even throw this in. Guys like you and me who have been around a while, we're not spring chickens. I know you have people because I get the same calls. A lot of these career packaging people that have been working for the man for the last 15, 20 years, company car, put their kids through college, whatever it is. Okay, great. But they're getting let go. They're
Yeah.
getting dropped. The economy is forcing these bigger companies to go, you know what? Sal's making 80 grand, a 40 of which is a salary, and we're paying him paying him his car. But no, he's done. And we're getting calls from the Sal's going like, the hell do I do? I'm 61 years old. I don't have any money, or I'm 55. I don't know what. This is why you and I both want to share this information. It's like, guys, whether you're working for another firm or whether you start your own business, there's some real gold here if you just know where to mine it.
Um, as you know, I'm I'm going to say this is not my pitch, but anybody that sees this, if you need a skilled person like me to come and help you, I'm here to
Yeah.
help. Not the
Yeah.
greedy one. I'll make, anybody that needs help, I'm here to help because if I'm helping you, you have a relationship out there. Let me come open the doors. Let me come scientifically do this.
Right.
I have
Right.
all my manufacturers. I don't know everything, but I have professionals that will come in there and do scientific reports and lay down truth, not because of my relationship, your relationship.
Yeah.
That's number one. Um, Number two, that my organization is, although small, I hire really only close to retirement
Oh
people.
yeah.
I do not
Yeah.
need a desperate person just flush out of college who took the packaging
Right.
degree
Right.
and they think that they know everything. No, I want to work with somebody who is very polished, very
Yeah.
professional. I vet them. I only
Yeah.
have four people that really work for me. But I love that because they're almost like a walking Rolodex.
Yeah.
They're not scared to go ask, where the pain is. And this,
Yeah.
it's not always
Yeah.
pain, but here it is.
Yeah.
Where's the problem? Where can we
Yeah.
be of help?
Yeah.
Where can
Where's the
we,
headache?
right? And where can we make your life easier or solve something for you? Or let us come in and do an audit. So many people are
Sure.
just scared to ask for the opportunity. But when I say that, that's where I really try to separate myself. And after that, everything comes with it. Quality, price, customer service, the
Oh, it's white glove. It's
side of
total
it.
white glove.
I love long-term relationship selling. I love what I do, but anybody that gets the chance that's doing what we're doing
Right.
needs specialty packaging, and you're the
Yeah.
division. I'm the division of that can help them.
Yeah.
Not just you can take a guy out to lunch and you'll keep your business. You get involved
Right.
and you get in find something in there and you get entrenched in the manufacturing side, you never lose that business. You get it
No,
all.
without a doubt.
You'll get all
Well,
your
that's
pay. You
a
could have it split 3 ways. As long as you sell that one, you can ask for the other part of the business in the whole free.
exactly. Well, before we wrap up, I just want to make sure, and you and I can do this again and go into the individual, because a lot of people say, what do you mean by specialized packaging? What is that? So let me just kind of rifle through a couple of things. First and foremost, this is a lot, obviously, of flexible packaging. You
Yep.
can see a lot of spouted pouches. Up here is the biodegradable and compostable. That's a big industry where people want and need and are willing to pay for the environmentally friendly stuff. And
And
a lot of
basically
this,
untapped, totally untapped
oh,
at the moment, really.
100%. And the other thing here, this whole area of these spouted pouches, that also is untapped in the US because of this. Most of
Mhm.
those companies that are packaging liquids or bulky items like powders, protein powders, whatever, have been using rigid containers for years. And they just assumed, well, it's just the way we've always done it. Finally, post-COVID, companies are looking at this stuff going like, wait a minute. I can fit a pallet of flexible packaging versus a truckload of rigid. Are you kidding me? Why would we not look at this? So a lot of these companies are now beginning to finally, like 5 years behind Australia, New Zealand, the UK, who have embraced flexible packaging. But I mean, I digress. But I mean, in the US, there's just like so many opportunities. This kind of
I
stuff that
agree.
you and I are
I
both
think
working
I
on.
think that I think that that is an enormous potential there.
Yeah,
You and I are working on that one group in Canada,
yeah,
and I bet you that we would be able to give them one truckload of our bag
Yeah.
in a box to their 10 truckloads of the pails
Easy.
that they're using. Number
Easy.
one. So not only
Yep.
are you going to say versus a $5 pail, you're less than
Yep.
$2 for us. That's
Yep.
number one. You can put more on, you can cube out more on a with a
Yep.
box on a pallet than, the dozen, 5-gallon buckets. So now all of a sudden your freight bill, I mean, we can go so deep into
Yep.
savings where
Yep.
so many people, and there's another reason why some of these reps fall short. Don't just go to price versus price. Go
Right.
to the fact of how do you show them where they can increase their production. Tell them that you can increase their production 3%, and
Yep.
then see what they say. When they're $100 million company, they can put $3
Yep.
more million out. Is your price
Ex-
good? Do you
Exactly.
hear what the price is after that of my
Yep.
stretch film,
Yep.
or the stuff that we're doing? There's so many opportunities that we look at, and when you say this, what we're showing, you have opened up my eyes, to a world that I love. I love labels and ribbons. Why? People do not like that. That machine makes noise. It
Yeah.
spits stuff at me. It turns off. I don't like it. And here it is. All that spells to me 25 years, my highest grossing margin items in my company. And I know of the one main competitor with Kelly, the not, but
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
working. That packaging firm is 38% gross margin on labels and ribbons and machinery year after year after year.
Wow.
Gravitate to what is pain or not
Yeah.
comfortable to
Yeah.
people. And especially when you can show them what you're doing with this. You opened up my eyes to this market, and it triggered me to, doing what we're doing, David. And that is, I want to go after business where I'm helping not only the
Yep.
environment, helping the customer, improving their output, their throughput,
Yep.
their
Yep.
profit margins,
Bottom
everything.
line. Yep. Yep.
Professionalism. We can, that those pails don't look as good as what our bag in a box is going to look like if they
Yep.
go.
Yep. Yep.
We. And so that's what excites me about what we're
And there's
doing. Everybody, every firm, every individual that's out there should be looking and trying to penetrate with specialty packaging, or have a specialty to packaging division as an arrow in their quiver. They're foolish
100%.
if they don't, because the money and the margins and the volumes are enormous.
Yeah. And the need that's out there too, the need that, if somebody would actually have an opportunity to be a fly on the wall at the Nestle's, at the Cisco's, at these bigger companies. I mean, they're the biggest of the big, but even the medium companies, the food science, the GNCs, or whatever it is. What I'm getting at is they were a fly on the wall. I guarantee you they were having problems with their packaging, whether that mean the
Absolutely.
product specific, whether that mean the delivery, whether that means the lead time, whether that means the cost, whether that means here's another thing, and I know you know this too, customer service post-COVID has just like gone out the window. And
Doesn't
companies are
exist.
just accepting this, like, well, I called in an order. I don't know whether they got it or not. So I don't know. Is it running? I'm not sure. I call and I have to push 14 different buttons on the phone, and then I leave a message and no one gets back to me. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? You and I both have that code. Like, we're calling them back probably within the hour, sometimes within the next 10 minutes. But this is like, what is going on? So anyhow, I digress. But these are just some, there's just a ton of different things flexible wise that we're looking at. And then I'll just wrap it up with some oddball stuff here too. Just the value add when it comes to like these big bags with incorporated handles, or these small little bags that mimic the Purell or the rigid containers. All this stuff has come about from a customer having a pain point. Pain point here was it's a big bag and Granny wants to get her kitty litter, but she's not going to throw it over her shoulder, and someone's going to, so to have a handle, and to be able to kind of go at the rigid bottles that are out there for shampoo and Purell in something flexible that's eco-friendly or 80% less expensive, is recyclable. I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities. So if nothing else, we just wanted to kind of do a deep dive here, Eric and I, on the opportunities, kind of a case study on what Eric does and how he approaches business, but and then finally, just sort of an overall on what's just some ideas of what specialized packaging can do, because it's a game changer when it comes to companies looking to diversify, companies looking to grow their business, companies looking to, back to your point, Eric, just from the very beginning, when we we're talking about carpet. The one thing that is just, I mean, once you solve, I guarantee you, I know you did this, and this is where a lot of packaging people don't even pay attention to this. If you solve that carpet manufacturer's issue in and around where you live and that kind of stuff, what's stopping you from contacting every carpet
Yeah.
manufacturer, anybody out there? That is so often I see packaging people don't, if you're selling Moen faucets, don't you think Kohler might have similar issues? If you're selling Hoover vacuum cleaner, don't you think Royal Appliance or Bissell might have some? There's a total disconnect. They're not even thinking about this. That to me is like 101 when it comes to, do you want to grow your business? And if you find an opportunity like you did with the carpet company, or like we're talking about some of our other projects, the world's our oyster here. We can totally go out there to every other company in that same space.
Yeah, I think that anybody that's out there that sees this needs to understand that one success story can literally set you
Yeah,
in motion in
yeah,
that sector of whatever
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
It's food processing, like you say, the oils, the
yeah,
dry food
sure.
goods, the shampoos, the paints of the world, anything. I mean, what we're
Yeah,
doing, uh, the bag in a
yeah,
box, and all the
yeah,
opportunities. But once you get that taste for success, you will gravitate towards it. And I
yeah,
say this as well. My company, I love teaming up with people on projects that are good long-term relationship selling projects. Same as you. That's why
yeah,
you and I formed the partnership that we have. um Other many people, you've got the relationships, folks. If you have them and you want to explore what you're doing, there's no better group I feel than you and I, that David, that
yeah,
with our experience and our process will
yeah,
help them. They don't have to know everything. Open a door for you, me, anybody. Or if you're already there and you want to just you've got the relationship, you won't know the opportunity unless you ask. Dig, poke,
yeah, yeah.
within
That's
the
such a
customer.
great,
Find out where you gotta go. Find out where you're at. I'll help you
that's such a,
any day, anywhere.
yeah, and that's such a good way for us to wrap up too,
Yep.
because when we talk to salespeople, and I know you know this too, there's a lot of packaging people that are paranoid of, oh, I don't want to let you know, Eric, about who I'm working with for fear that Eric's going to go around them. That's the old factory thinking. That's the old way of doing things. You and I have no problem signing an NDA, getting in front of the customer. Look, we're not here to screw anybody. We're trying to help you. We would be better off selling a packaging company that has 12 different opportunities than going around somebody. And so often that also is what you and I are adamant about, trying to change that narrative of, you guys have got to trust your
Yeah.
manufacturers, your factories, because that's just it drives me crazy.
Yeah, I am not in the business to make myself rich. I wanna make everybody I'm with, along the way rich.
Oh,
That,
yeah.
this. I
Yeah.
pay the
Oh,
best
yeah.
in my industry. I pay the most commission that there is, and the reason is I don't need my guy at 18%, and when the volume goes up, he goes down to 12%, 7%, like all the other ones that are out there. Mine's the
Yeah.
flat rate. If
Yeah.
this, if I just, that's where I go. I am not here that I value other people's relationships. They
Right.
got the
Right.
opportunity, bring it to us. I have no problem. Here it is. Nothing would make me happier than to work with other people and have to stroke them huge checks. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
everybody's doing good. And I
Yeah.
think that's where the industry itself is. The companies that are out there can be also very greedy. They
Yeah.
some of the companies that are out there, really keep their reps down. They don't,
Yeah.
they like
Yeah,
all
you're
they
right.
like is the commodity items. Sometimes they don't want to get off into the, maybe the unknown.
Oh, yeah.
But with what you and I are doing, I am so excited to go to the unknown. Show me something that you're doing that I don't know nothing about, because I'll help you solve it and make it better,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everybody can make money.
Yeah.
Very,
Well,
very excited for our future, David, as well. But
me
everybody
too,
that's
brother.
out there and that sees this, um, you know, if you need help, we're here.
Yes, we are. And Eric, my man, I am so grateful, that we've gotten to know each other. You and I have become good buddies, and I just am thrilled and excited, like you are, of the future, of what's out there. And I couldn't have asked for a better partner. So thanks, brother.
I'm
I
excited
appreciate
for
you.
I am excited for all the NDAs we're having to start signing as well, David.
Exactly.
Hi, everyone. It's David Marinac. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you want to see more, here's another video that you can check out, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Thanks.